Welcome back. I had to be enthusiastic there because that's what people want on YouTube. They want enthusiasm. So I have to be enthusiastic. I can't be like my old boring self. Anyways, my normal boring self. I can't be that person. Um, all right, so I was thinking about questions I could ask you during the second half,
Yeah.
and um, what is your let's say relationship with creativity? What do or don't you do in regards to creative activities?
Okay. I write poetry sometimes,
Okay.
um, and I've written lots of novels in my head.
Okay.
Getting them out is
Mhm.
probably a bit difficult, but I think I'm about 8 chapters in or something like that.
Mhm.
At the end of the semester, I'll probably have more time to do other things. I used to draw, you know, sketch and stuff when I was younger,
Mhm.
but I haven't done that for a long time. I don't think I have a drive for that, but uh, I'd probably enjoy it, I guess. But it's not something I do a lot of. More uh, written things. I used to ask my teachers at school if I could write stories. Used to ask them all the time. They'd say, "Well, we can't do that every day." But it seemed a natural thing, natural fit for me to write. I've always wanted to do that, so it's just actually getting it done is
Mhm.
harder than you think. I suppose. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably the creative side of me. Perhaps probably creative with what I teach on at church. I suppose. Um, in a different way.
Mhm.
A bit different with how I uh, go about things. But yeah, from a artistic point of view, definitely more written things than painting or drawing or anything like that.
Okay. I would like to challenge your.
Yeah.
I would like to challenge your creativity a little bit and
Uh-huh.
how we do. That's okay with you.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
like you to just rattle off as many unusual uses for a coat hanger that you can think of.
For a coat hanger.
Yes. That's not hanging up clothing.
Yeah, yeah. Darn, that was the
I
first
had
one.
to mark that one off the
Uh,
list right off the top.
well, you can jimmy open a car door with one.
Okay.
Yeah. I only know that because I've seen it done a few times.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Dad taught me that one.
Yeah, okay. What about weird what
uh,
about weird unconventional uses? Just imaginary uses that you've never seen before.
okay. I'm thinking of wearing one as a hat. That would
Okay.
be that's pretty out there.
Okay.
Um, that's about. Mm,
It's a hard one, huh?
yeah, and I feel like it shouldn't be.
Right. Well, that you've seen me do this thing before, so you know what you probably know what I'm trying to get to. Um, so next, I would like you to create a little short story for me
Wow.
about um, uh, a dragon, an apple, and uh, and um, I gotta think of some. See, this is the problem with me is my type struggles with this. So I'm having to do the same thing you just tried to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not too good at it either. So um,
Well, I can come up with one for the what you've
a
said so
pipe,
far.
a
Anyway,
pipe, a
a
pipe.
pipe,
Yes, an apple, a dragon, and a pipe.
a smoking pipe, or a
Yeah, like a pipe that you smoke.
okay, okay. So uh, George the Dragon
Mhm.
was flying over the village,
Mhm.
and he spied an old man sitting on a seat outside uh, his log cabin,
Mhm.
smoking a pipe and eating an apple. And the dragon thought, "That's a better life than I've got."
Okay.
So I think I might take up smoking a pipe and eating apples. And he lived happily ever after.
Nice. Good story. Good story. All right. Um. All right. So I think I think I'll tell you. I'll go ahead and tell you what my theory is, and then we can talk about it, and then
Sure.
and kind of spend the rest of the time talking about stuff like that. So let me just write it down so you know I'm not cheating. Then I'll be like, yeah,
I
that's
trust you.
exactly what I was thinking. Uh,
Yeah.
right.
Have you ever had anyone give away what they are? And then you have to
Yeah. I had a friend. I had a friend.
accidentally.
No. I had a friend agree to let me. I did a video, and he thought he was. Um, what did he think he was? He wasn't sure if he was an INFJ or an ENFP. That was what he had it down to,
Oh, wow.
and then I
Mm.
and then I went through my normal routine, and I said, dude, I think you're pretty sure you're an ISTP, and then I like kind of explained why, and
But it wasn't either.
he's like, oh yeah, that makes yeah, he wasn't either of those, so and he's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, and um, but I could see why he could have thought either one of those, um, so uh,
Mm.
yeah.
I've I've been typed as two,
All right, here, let me hold my thing up here. Uh, which two have you been typed at as so far?
and these were both on 16personalities.com.
Right.
Uh, and but every other site, including Psychology Junkie
Mhm.
and Personality Hacker and all that, I get the other one. Um, but on 16 personalities, I got INFP
Mhm.
and INFJ.
Mhm.
And when I got the INFP,
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'm cool with that.
Sure.
And I started reading through it, and I thought, I don't think so. That was my first thought was, I don't think so. And later on, now my eldest daughter's an INFP,
Mhm.
and I know how different we are. Though we can appear similar. I guess there's personality, and then there's cognitive functions and stuff. I guess
Yeah.
um, we can share personality because we're relatives.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, those were the two. I think maybe one day I got INTJ on something, but that was ridiculous. I'm not an INTJ, that's for
Oh
sure.
darn it! That's what I had here. No,
That's
I'm
what
just
you've
kidding.
got written down.
No, I'm just kidding.
Quick, change the T on
Wait.
there.
So which one? So you're saying that you're pretty sure that you're an INFJ is what you're saying?
Yes.
All right. Well, I do agree with you on that one. So, just in case you were wondering, um, but not just because there's certain things that you kind of came out right out and told me, but also just other other things I'm thinking about too, you know. And also, honestly, as an INFJ myself, when I meet other INFJs, they say things to me sometimes that I'm like, I don't think any other type really will understand exactly specifically what you're talking about,
Mm.
the way that I do, because I've lived some of that. So yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, no two people are the same, right? But there's certainly I've found to be some pretty common things that INFJs specifically uh, either they have it in their past or it's a something about them somehow, and usually you find those things out, you know, just by talking a little bit. But um, were how oh geez, I might have lost you for a second. Working on the reconnection. Don't go, friends at home. Were you surprised that I got it right? Did that surprise you? We're waiting for the reconnection to happen. I hope it's not going to take forever. Please come back, Shaun. Shaun, don't leave me. Shaun! Should I play the YouTube video? Go to the YouTube video. Go to the Shaun YouTube video. Shaun! Shaun! I'm putting a link up there. Shaun! Where are you, Shaun? I lost you, Shaun. I hope it's not my internet connection. I have to run a speed test to find out. No, my internet's doing good right now. Friends, my internet's doing really good right now, so it is not on my end. Yeah, I've got like 200 and 300 something megabits per second right now. But I will talk. So here's what I'll do, Shaun. If you don't come back, I will finish the video myself. Just by talking kind of about what we just talked about. So, how did I know that Shaun was probably an INFJ? Um, well, first of all, even though um, he's a traditionalist in some senses with his religious points of view, which I grew up with a religious point of view. So I spent the first 30 years of my life going to church multiple times a week, because that's what I was raised in, and that's just the trajectory I was always on. So, and within that, I was a bit of a rebel to some degree. You know, I was Calvinistic in an Arminian world. So, I was a critical thinker, but I wasn't so critical that I would be willing to contemplate my own foundational viewpoints, or at least wasn't prepared to, or didn't have the information to. And there's a lot of science that has to get learned to be able to do that. So I wouldn't say I was intellectually lazy, but it's just I didn't, you know, I'm almost 40. I didn't have Wikipedia growing up, didn't have high-speed internet, didn't have YouTube, didn't really have internet until 20 or something like that. I was already grown up by the time I had real like kind of full access to internet. So I didn't have the ability to fact check and to look into a lot of things the way you can now. So, but it was really Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson that taught me a lot of fundamental scientific concepts that I wasn't taught in my fundamentalist Baptist upbringing, and that really changed my point of view on a lot of things. So, but getting back to Shaun, I see a lot of myself in Shaun as far um, as like his way of being, I guess, and his way of thinking. I'm gonna refresh this thing, and I'm gonna see if maybe Shaun's waiting around. Let's try it. All right. Oh, I refreshed, and then you came back. So I was talking to the viewers at home. So you'll get to see it.
Okay.
You'll get to see it, because I thought you were reconnecting. I was like, well, while Sean's reconnecting. Um.
Yeah, I was staring at it said reconnecting on your
Oh,
screen. I
all
thought,
right.
okay,
Well,
I'll wait a bit and then.
here I am. I'm back.
Oh, awesome.
Where were we? The viewers at home, if you rewatch the video, you'll get to see what I was talking about. So you won't miss it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Um, you get to hear the ramblings of a man sitting alone in his room. Um,
Yeah, great.
yeah. So, were you surprised or unsurprised that I knew what type you were, or what do you think?
Uh, no, I wasn't surprised, I guess. Um, maybe I thought, you know, you never know.
Sure.
Someone might come up with something else that best fits. I think that the extremely few and far between amount of INFJs I've met, including just one male, um, uh, and I'm only going off the fact he got that on 16 personality.
Right.
That
Right.
doesn't mean he is one, but
Right. Right. Right.
he might be. Yeah, I know there's something similar there. Yeah. So yeah, I also, like you said, can pick that up in you. So
Yeah. What do
I'd
you pick
probably
up?
be more surprised if I wasn't.
Tell me.
Yeah,
Tell
if
me
I
what.
wasn't, I'd be more surprised.
So tell me some things about myself. Tell me something that might surprise me that you perceive out from me, from not knowing me until now.
I don't know. I don't know that anything would surprise you, would it?
Well, maybe not, but like maybe what are some intuitions you're having, if any? Well, you've seen my videos though, so you probably know things about me.
Yeah. I think I've watched three, and certainly I think you you struggle uh, on occasion. Maybe I would too. It's in your shoes. It's different than in mine because you've got to come up with something and look like you've got it all together. And I would find that really hard. I do find that hard when I'm doing nutrition consults. The difference is I've got sort of a structure. I'm asking almost the same questions every person.
Mm-hmm.
Although, as you could probably guess, they have 100 million different answers.
Mm-hmm.
Healthcare is complex,
Mm-hmm.
and as complex as people are. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so yeah, I think maybe you and I you seem more serious. That would probably compared to me. But then we're not hanging out
Right.
at a cafe or
Right.
anything, you
Right.
know.
Right. I'm
So
thinking. I'm deep in thought right now, so
yeah,
I'm not playing a game
yeah,
with you or anything. But
I
um,
know, yeah.
so I was gonna say something, but I lost track of my thought, where it was going. Um, damn it, it's gone. It's just completely gone. Whatever I was thinking about,
I
it's
know
just
the
gone. It's
I know
completely
the feeling.
gone.
I know all about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't what I was thinking, but maybe I'll think of it after. But I do know I always like to let people ask me a question or questions if they have any or whatever. Not like it's not like not like I have anything sage to tell you or anything. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll surprise everybody and say something wise. But uh, I don't know. But it's an opportunity anyways in a situation where I'm asking a lot of questions for you to turn around and ask me a question. So the floor is yours.
I think, yeah, I think one of them I've often wondered is why there seems to be uh, so so many less guys that are INFJs than females. I'm saying that because um, one of the times I did give people the test in my clinic class at college, there was about 5 or 6 uh, of the ladies who got an INFJ result,
Mhm.
in one class.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, this is just bizarre. Maybe it's something to do with holistic healthcare as well. I don't know. There's certainly a lot of INFPs in that area as well. But um, yeah, I don't think I bumped into a guy, and so it's a it's an interesting question. I don't know why that would be.
Well, I don't know if you'll like the answer that I have for you, but I have a theory.
I don't know. Just shoot.
All right. Well, so my theory is that it has to do with evolution, and
Okay.
specifically the evolution of society. And in a situation where humanity came from hunter-gatherer kind of environment, people started to congregate more and to build hierarchical structures and things like that. And when that happened, and when people pooled resources, this is all theory, of course. Um,
Yeah.
but when people pool resources, then you can have some diversification of skills. So you can have some people who are really good at gathering, and some people are really good at killing, and some people are good at staying and taking care of everyone else, or whatever. And you do see that in nature. You do see group behavior and different uh, creatures in that group taking on different roles, and it doesn't make sense evolutionarily speaking for a group or for a species to not have some diversification within it, because having diversification means better genetic pool of resources and higher likelihood of survival and things like that, and adaptability and things. So, for the same reason there's a gender spectrum and a sexual spectrum, I think there's spectrums for every aptitude, whether it be physical aptitude, intellectual, emotional, kind of spiritual. I like your sense of oneness with the universe and things. Yeah, and Carl Jung even thought there were other kinds of cognitive functions than just what we kind of call the cognitive functions. He thought there was a spiritual function and other things. Yeah, so I don't know where I was going with all that. I do I feel like I was gonna take it somewhere really great, but I don't know. But I did remember the thing that I forgot earlier. So whatever, for what that's worth. Um, Maybe you'll bring me back around and you'll help me remember what was the point of what I was gonna say. But the the other thing that I was trying to
Maybe.
remember that I now remember is that I took speech class when I was in college for a year. So I have spoken in front of like 5,000 people before. So that I'm sure that's helped my ability to speak
Yeah.
in front
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
Also, I was raised by a pastor, a fundamentalist Baptist pastor. I do know a lot
Okay.
about theology, and I do know a lot about the Bible, which
Yeah.
we can talk about the Bible if you want to talk about the Bible. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, and so I've been in a lot of having grown up under the authority of a pastor who started a church and had his kids kind of help him start do the slave labor to start the church. Um,
Yeah.
I've had to interface with people a lot and adults a lot, and I've had a lot of practice communicating with people. So I'm probably more. Maybe that's why I'm a little more confident to speak to people.
Yeah.
But I'm still definitely like you in the sense that I would much rather be alone. It's just I also
Mm.
recognize that there's a certain level of growth as a person that you have to take, and you have to be able to
Yeah,
interact with people and do really well with people. And it's good for you. I mean, there's such
yeah,
studies that show it. So so I kind of
yeah,
force myself to do it. That's the way I would put
yeah.
it, because I know it's good
I
for
think it.
me.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, it sort of worries me when people. Um. There can be a stereotype, I think, with INFJs that they are really quiet and
Hmm.
sort of sit in the dark,
I
and
mean, I do a lot of that.
yeah, we need to. I
Yeah,
know I need to do
I'm
that.
at my
If I didn't
happiest
do
at
that,
that point.
I would go nuts.
Yeah.
But if our auxiliary
Hmm.
function is extroverted feeling, then we're we're made to be pretty warm toward people,
Hmm. Hmm.
and yeah, there's some types that would obviously struggle more. I guess the T types where they're not so warm, generally speaking, um,
Right.
to talk to. Yeah, so if someone says they're an INFJ and they're not really that interested in people, I think, well, okay, uh,
Sure.
I don't know, I don't know about
Well,
that.
yeah,
I mean, you could be an unhealthy one, I suppose.
right. I mean, you can't make that kind of judgment based on one thing about somebody, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
certainly, because it's not like every INFJ is going to be like a people person. I think
yeah.
what it means,
That's right.
yeah, what it
Yeah,
means more probably is that they're probably concerned about their perception by people. And they might be
yeah,
completely failing at it. Like I've spent most of my life completely failing at it. So
yeah.
it doesn't mean you're good at people. It just means you really care about whether you're good at people. And you usually feel
Right.
like you're not good at people, and then that really bothers you, and that's life. So,
Yeah.
right.
You ever played the game Pluto?
I've seen the movie Clue, and I am aware of how Clue works, but I have actually really never played it. Surprisingly, I've played many other games. So, but
Yeah.
why do you bring up Clue?
Why do I bring that up? Um, just over the last year or so, a group of us have played it a few times, and I've started
Yeah.
to notice that if you have good extroverted intuition and introverted thinking,
Uh
you're
huh.
going to be really good at that game.
Extroverted
My
intuition or introverted intuition?
No, I think extroverted. I struggle with it
Uh
because
huh.
for me to get to
I don't really
who
know
killed
exactly the
who, and
mechanics. Sorry.
like you've got to come up with who killed the person,
Uh huh.
with what instrument they killed them with, and in which
Right.
room.
Right.
And so you've got to deduce from other people, basically what cards they're holding on to, and you got to basically guess the three cards that are inside the little yellow envelope
Okay.
that you put to the side.
And how do you
And
deduce that
so
though? How do you know?
asking people, say, so have you got, you know, Miss White sort of thing, and
Mm.
or I think it's, Miss Professor Plum with the candlestick in the basement sort of thing. And
So
so in that question, you're deliberately trying to lead the other people to tell you what you need to know so that you can come up with these three things.
I see. Is it
And
completely
and I'm
freeform?
terrible at it.
Can you just say whatever? Is that how the rules are? You can
Uh,
just ask. You can ask other
no, there
questions.
are rules. There are rules, but you one of the biggest rule is you're not allowed to show it. If I ask you to show me uh, any cards that I think you might have,
Uh-huh.
no one else can know about it. And so um, I found it fascinating because a friend of mine who I'm pretty certain is an ENTP,
Uh-huh.
he literally turns the score sheet into a grid and starts to chart everybody's answer and hardly looks up. He hardly looks up at the board. It's hilarious. And my daughter, being an ENFP, is really good at it,
Mhm.
and it's almost effortless that she can go dunk dunk dunk, and then
Right.
piece all this information together. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm struggling to. I would
You need
need
a lot more
everyone
time,
to not
right?
talk.
You need
Yeah,
a
more
lot of time.
time.
You need to be able to pause it and just sit there for about an hour,
Yeah,
right?
and then go, okay.
And so this
So,
person moved there and that person did that. Yeah, I know that feeling. And
so what happens is I end up with hardly anything on my score sheet, and everyone just cracks up at the end. Well, what are you doing for the last 2 hours? But what happens is I end up looking around at everyone, and I'm more interested in how they do things than I am about playing the game. But I've noticed that uh, my INFP daughter's good at it. Uh,
mhm.
Another friend of mine's a ISTJ, and he's good at it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, so you're
in fact,
noticing.
a friend of my daughter's had never even heard of it before, and she's an ENFP.
Mhm.
And I swear she was hardly even looking at the board the whole time, but she guessed 2 out of the 3 that she needed to. She's never even heard the game before. Just this ability, I find it amazing that
That is interesting.
they can collate all this information in almost no effort whatsoever. Um, but yeah, it's maybe it's a alternative way to type people. Just get them to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
Cluedo.
Maybe. It
And
certainly
INFJs will be terrible at it.
it yeah, it makes sense that certain types would be better at certain types of games because if there's a certain set of rules, then there must be some limiting factor to it. And
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's certainly not a free for all kind of thing, but um, it's a game of connectivity and ascertaining more than one piece of information.
Mhm.
I think that's what it is. I'm good at Scrabble.
I'm pretty good at Scrabble
Cause,
myself. Yeah.
yeah, because that's a total different thing. I can
Right.
almost see the words on that little
Mhm.
plastic thing that you put the tiles on. I can see them before. I'm way ahead on that one,
Right.
and so I win it a lot on the rare occasion we play it. My wife's an ISFJ and she's pretty good at it too. But um, yeah, I
I
found that ISFJ type to struggle with Cluedo as well a little bit, but not as
I
much.
could imagine that. I could imagine. What?
Yeah, not as much
So last
as
question.
me, but
So last question, because we're a little we're pretty much at time. What do you what?
sure.
My best friend is an ISFJ. Your wife's an ISFJ. And I've been thinking about doing an interview video with my best friend just to so people can see the interaction between INFJ and ISFJ. But he and I have been friends for 20 years, and it's the best friendship I've ever had. So could you tell us the viewers at home or whatever kind of what is the INFJ, ISFJ? What is it about that? What is it about those two types that seems to connect really well?
Yeah, I guess there's a few things, but number one is that she thinks of the here and now
Mhm.
um, uh, better than I do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, Practical things. Um, Now, you got to consider that women are probably better at that generally than men anyway. But she'll even fixing something, like she can do it, and
Mhm.
she'll say, "Honey, do you want to fix, put a couple of screws into this thing and fix it?" And I'll do it, and I know she knows how to do it, but
She knows better
she's
than you.
kind of giving me a nudge,
Yeah.
and I think that's another thing as well that they can. Because they are very, I mean, that stereotype of a nurse.
Mhm.
They are very, very good at putting others first and sort of
Mhm.
I think that perhaps because we do that as well, but it's not the same. I think
Right,
it's
right, right. Do you think
yeah.
that ISFJs are too good for this world?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I think it is? I think it's like ISFJs care about people the way that INFJs probably wish they did. Like I think INFJs care about people
Yeah, yeah,
in a I hate to say it, but in a roundabout selfish way, kind of. And it's not an overt selfish way, but it's a I want to control everything kind of selfish
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Whereas
It's behind the
behind
scenes.
the
Yeah,
curtains, and then
mm,
ISFJs are just sort
yeah,
of just selfless in a lot of ways, just boundlessly kind of
mm,
selfless, with
yeah. And
no
I know a lot
expect
of them.
and no expectation for anything. So
Yeah,
yeah, and that's
I,
I envy that
yeah,
kind of, and I think that's probably part of why I respect my best friend so much.
yeah,
Is I say
yeah,
he's a better person than me. You know what I mean? Because I think,
yeah.
ah,
I
wow,
know.
I'm so manipulative, behind
Yeah,
the scenes.
yeah. She's definitely a better person. um, that's for sure. Um, and I think we share that. In MBTI, you share those two
Hmm.
middle functions, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're actually quite similar. In a lot of ways.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. I understand that. Yeah, and
yeah,
I think the connection points happen where, uh, I guess the way I would say it is, ISFJs are thinking abstractly about the real world, and
yeah.
INFJs
That's
are
good.
thinking abstractly about everything, basically. So
Yeah, yeah,
the point at which they can connect is when the INFJ is talking about something that the ISFJ is thinking abstractly about. For them, it's
yeah,
something abstract about the real world, and for you, it's just, oh, it's part of cosmology. It's part of everything. So I want to talk about it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that might
mm,
be part of it, and I think that's the introverted thinking part of it. Is the
yeah,
let's just think about whatever, or let's just talk about whatever. Like my best
mm,
friend and I, like we're really big into like, you know, well, we're really excited about about Cyberpunk coming out, Cyberpunk 2077.
okay,
He's really big into technology and phones and drones and all that stuff, and he's way more into the hardware than I am. He's just
yeah, yeah,
so into it. He's so into the hardware, and the technology. But we come together when it comes to like story and things like that. When it has to do with story, and we're both very interested in technology.
mm,
I'm interested in it probably for the much more metaphysical way, but he's
yeah,
interested in it because he it's what he likes, and we have that shared kind of interest. So
yeah,
yeah. Anyways,
yeah. It's very, very fascinating.
I hope the MBTI community, like the MBTI community, is latched onto certain combinations like INTP, INFJ, or ENFP, INFJ. But I think they should start thinking about ISFJ, INFJ a lot more, because my experience with that is that those two types just have they make music together, but in a different way, in a very
Yeah,
subdued kind of way that isn't really um,
yeah,
probably very flashy. It's just more like a long-term,
mm.
stable kind of
Yeah.
relationship.
I would agree. I think. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting living with those three types,
Yeah.
um, and because ENFPs as well, it's almost like click bang.
Well,
I
but I've
can
had
I can
volatile
talk.
relationships with ENFPs. I've had hard,
Well, there you go.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's not always. I've in many cases, in a lot of cases, I've had better relationships with INFPs than ENFPs. So I think
right.
it really
Yeah,
depends on person to person, type to type.
mm,
What do you
yeah. It does. Yeah.
respond best to? Just because somebody's a certain type doesn't mean you're automatically going to click,
Mm.
and
No, that's true.
just
Very
because
true.
somebody's a
Yeah.
certain type doesn't mean you're automatically going to have friction either. You know what I mean? It really depends on like
Mm.
the growth. Like I worked for an ENTJ, and we had amazing work chemistry because he was very, uh, you know, even though he was a thinking type, and even though he was kind of harsh in a lot of ways, he also had worked on himself so much for so long that he could be very amiable, very easy to get along with.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so really, I think it does come down to the growth level of the people involved when it comes to that chemistry.
yeah, most definitely. I think the deep things, my INFP daughter is, yeah, we're the ones that will talk about those kind of things
Mhm.
till all hours.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
um, and we're the ones most interested in MBTI and
Mhm. Mhm.
typology. Um, yeah, my wife's actually not interested in it at all.
Right. 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 No, and my best
And
friend's not either. So
yeah,
right.
I
It's
think,
just
but I think N types are generally more interested, perhaps. Yeah,
yeah.
but that makes sense too.
I think N types are more interested in things with more unknowns, and that's really why MBTI is interesting because there's a lot we don't know. So it's always
That's
something
for
to
sure.
it's always something to find out. It's always something to figure out,
Yeah,
right? So
there's something there. There's something real there.
yeah, there's something there. There's
Um,
something there.
but you can't box it all in.
Right.
I've moved past that. People's life experience and even what they do for a living or whatever is going to alter a lot of
Yeah.
things. But
It,
I
it's
think
it,
the baseline is the same.
it's
Yeah,
as varied as genetic code. You know what I mean? So, eh, how could
yeah,
could any of us
exactly.
perceive the differences in genetic code of anyone else? So, so I think that's really it's because we like patterns. We're humans. We like patterns. We want to figure stuff out. We want to put it in boxes and organize it into hierarchies and make charts and stuff. That's just what we do.
Yeah, yeah. We're made
That's our
that way.
nature. That's our nature. We can't help it.
Yeah,
We're curious and
yeah,
we like to figure stuff out.
yeah.
And if there's
True.
no pattern to be had, well, damn it, we're gonna make one. And astrology will
I'll find one.
happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, no offense to the astrology people, but I'm just saying people love to make patterns. Humans love to figure out patterns. And if there's no one,
Yeah.
if you've probably spent time looking at a chair or a door or a wall and seen a face in it, and
Yes.
that's just how our brains work. I mean, can't stop it. So
Yeah.
all right. On that
Yeah.
note, let's end the video. But thanks so much, Shaun. It was a very interesting conversation, and I hope you enjoyed it, and
I
hopefully.
did. Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so
It was
feel free,
great.
feel free to leave a comment if you have in the video when I post it. When I get around to posting it, it's my turnaround time on this is a little sketchy, but I usually get there. So yeah. Anyways, all right. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and do all the YouTube stuff that you're supposed to do, and watch more of my videos if you feel so inclined. But thanks again, Shaun. Have a good rest of
Thank you.
and
Thanks,
have
Dan.
a good Thanksgiving. Actually, it's tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So
Oh, is it? There you go. We don't do
in
that in
in in,
Australia, but
in America, we pretend like we aren't awful people for one day, uh, and, and that we didn't commit mass genocide to get here. So that's what we do.
yeah.
Yeah, good times. Happy Thanksgiving,
Enjoy the
everyone.
turkey anyway.
Turkey Day. It's Turkey Day. Gotta have a holiday to eat turkey, so let's do it. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good night.